Manager Erik Ten Hag said Lisandro Martinez could play his first game for Manchester United since the month of March in their Premier League match against Newcastle United on Wednesday. Now, Hag added that Rashford, Bruno Fernandes and Willy Kampala will be assessed to determine if they are fit to return from injury. Raphael Varane will not be fit but may return on Sunday. Ten Hag then hopes to have the French defender match ready for the FA Cup final against Man City on the 25th of May. Manchester United, 8th in the standings with 54 points, need to close that gap to qualify for the Europa Conference League. Newcastle have won their last 3 matches against Manchester United.
Yeah, Licha Martinez. I think he will return in the squad. He did now some sessions with us, and we plan him to be available when this afternoon everything is going right. In the training, he will return in the squad, and then for some other players we have to see Rashford, Bruno, Willy, Kampala, if they are fit. Yeah, it's clear. It's a very important game. Look at the ranking. Yeah. So yeah, it's very important to get the win. Yeah, we have to put everything in it to get the win, and we have to fight hard for it.
Now, central defender Raphael Varane will leave Manchester United at the end of the season after 3 years at the Premier League club. 31-year-old Varane joined United in 2021 after 10 years at Real Madrid. He's made 67 league appearances for the English side and helped them win the League Cup in 2023. A muscle injury has kept Varane out of action since April, but he hopes to be available again before United end their season in the FA Cup final against Manchester City on the 25th of May. 8th place United have their last home game of the season on Wednesday against Newcastle United. And now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by DD India's correspondent Ollie Barrett from London. A very good evening from India. Ollie, now Man City emerges even stronger with one step closer towards their 4th Premier League title. They are just a game away. Can Manchester City do it this time as well?
Well, all of the recent statistics and data and experience and the eye test tells you that they probably will. Manchester City now know, as you say, that as long as they win that final game against West Ham, they will be champions again. The precedent is pretty clear as well. It's very, very rare indeed for a club to win the Premier League title going into the final day of the season, not ahead in the league. So City are well placed on all fronts, really, to do that. That's not to say that West Ham, that final game, is necessarily an easy one. It will be the final game in charge for David Moyes at West Ham, so an incentive for him to come away with a final victory, but it looks very, very difficult indeed for West Ham. It looks like Manchester City will be strong favourites for that game, and therefore you have to say that they are strong favourites to take the title as well. They have Erling Haaland in good goal-scoring form, even if, as you say, it wasn't a vintage performance in their penultimate game. But Manchester City, yes, now strong favourites for the final game, strong favourites to retain their title again.
Also, Ollie, when we talk about the match, on the other hand, concerns have once again risen about Manchester United. Many believe that they are already a gone case. What led to their decline, and are there any hopes left of their revival, Ollie?
Well, Deepika, we can absolutely trace the decline of Manchester United in many ways back to the departure of Alex Ferguson. They have never been the same since the greatest manager in their history left the club, and there have been varying levels of success or otherwise for all of the managers and indeed the playing squads that have followed that moment. Now, exactly why that is the case is very much up for debate. A lot of Manchester United fans would point the finger of blame at the ownership, the American Glazer family, that they feel has not invested properly in various elements of the club. They have spent a lot of money on the first team squad over the years, but has that recruitment been done in a joined up way? Have they hired the right managers? Have they had the structures in place at the club to make sure that they can be successful? A lot of fans would tell you that they have not been. In more recent history, Erik ten Hag, certainly the current Manchester United manager, would absolutely point you towards an injury crisis. He's had very little resources to draw on in recent games. But again, the other side of that coin is that many supporters and analysts would say that actually, if you look at the way that Erik ten Hag has been setting up this season, they've been lacking midfield cover for the defence. They've been trying to play transition football, perhaps not with the right team members, squad members, to carry out exactly the style of football that Erik ten Hag wants to play. But as I say, there are very many reasons and explanations for Manchester United being in the spot that they currently find themselves in. One of the things that Manchester United fans are now debating as we head into the final games of the season for that club is whether or not it would be worth being in the Europa Conference League, the UEFA Conference League, as opposed to the Europa League. They're obviously not going to make Champions League now, but the Conference League, is that the kind of competition that Manchester United would like to be in next season, or would in many ways it be better for Manchester United to be able to rebuild and just focus on the Premier League without any European football next season, given that the Conference League isn't as high profile as the Europa League, or obviously the Champions League one step above that? That's a very live debate at the moment. The new part ownership of the club, led by Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe, obviously have ambitions for Manchester United above where they are at the moment. But as for why Manchester United find themselves in this very tricky spot, lots of reasons going back lots of years.
Thank you so much, Ollie, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on team's performance and what future holds for Man United.